Okay, so I wrote this a few days ago. There's something that's been spinning around in my head for a few weeks. And I gotta get it off my chest or I feel like I'm just gonna explode. How do I talk about this without throwing people under the bus? My entire life, I feel like I had trouble creating boundaries for myself. I was raised to feel guilty whenever I took time for myself. I think that's pretty common in Asian households. We're raised with this mindset that community is everything. Your family is everything. Your friends are everything. Your loved ones are everything. And at its core, there's nothing wrong with that. Those things are incredibly important. But what that manifested in me is this tendency to completely destroy myself, trying to give myself to another person with no regard for my own mental health. And that has resulted in me getting into fairly unhealthy and often one-sided relationships with people. And I've gotten better at this over the years, but I can't help but feel extreme guilt whenever I leave situations that would cause me extreme anxiety. Part of me always wants to go back to the situation after a while, believing that it was never really that bad and that I was overreacting. I think, if I'm being honest, I may be addicted to that rush of anxiety. If I don't get that anxious feeling, frankly, I feel like I get bored. The internet tells me that it's because my brain is wired to mistake anxiety for passion. But who knows? Do you really trust the internet? Just this week, I spent more time than I probably should drafting an apology to someone I cut communication off with. Because I thought that the way that I cut them off was kind of passive aggressive. I kept going back and forth whether or not I really needed to apologize to them. They never showed any signs of being hurt or mad or anything like that, but I still couldn't help but feel bad. I felt terrible because I know as well that they're the type to bottle things up when things bother them. So I'm paranoid that that's what I did to them. I was thinking back to the scene in BoJack Horseman where BoJack runs up to Diane at like a conference or something. It's like,
I need you to tell me that I'm a good person. I know that I can be selfish and narcissistic and self-destructive, but underneath all that, deep down, I'm a good person, and I need you to tell me that I'm good. Diane? Tell me, please, Diane, tell me that I'm good.
I think the reason I cared so much is because all my life, all I wanted was someone who looked at all of my flaws and understood where I came from and why I am how I am, and still accepted me into their life. And this particular person grew up in almost exactly the same way as I did. We both had trouble accepting our Asian heritage growing up. We had very similar interests, so opening up to them felt very natural to me. We had a connection that was immediate, and I became kind of codependent on them real quick. Someone I barely knew who, honestly, I still barely know if I'm being objective. My happiness started to largely depend on whether or not they like me, so I started getting massive mood swings, and that terrified the hell out of me. I've been that person before, and I hated that person. That obsessive, compulsive behavior where every action I take is for the sake of another person, and that started to scare me. It filled me with anxiety, and in my anxious state, I had convinced myself that they secretly hated me, and I just cut them out. And now that I've had time to process everything in my head, I'm not sure if they really did anymore, or if I just made that up to relieve myself of this anxiety I created for myself. And I feel intense guilt for straight up accusing them and leaving them without even asking about it. I didn't even ask, I just kind of left, and I kind of regret it. And I don't know if I made the right choice, and that's the thing about life, you never really know. I'm not sure if I feel this way because I genuinely made a mistake, or if it's just the way that I was raised that's making me feel guilty. Part of me wants to reach out to them and at least give them a chance to talk about it, but I'm terrified. I'm terrified of becoming that person again. I'm terrified that they hate me. I know they may see this. I know they're sub to this channel, and I'm sure from what I said they know who they are. And that may be why I'm making this video in the first place. I want to reach out, but I'm too much of a pussy to do it directly. But I guess if you do happen to see this, I'm sorry for being fucking weird, for having all these conflicting thoughts in my head, for being unstable, for creating this image of you in my head that isn't based on any sort of reality. And this is probably why I need therapy. Anyways, I needed to get this off my chest and put it out into the world someplace so that I feel less mad at the world for making me the way that I am. I've just been having a lot of trouble sleeping lately. And I've been having these evading thoughts in my head for the past 2-3 months, and they've only gotten worse over time. So Hopefully this helps me.
See, when I think about me, I barely think about me. I think about the people that surround me and how I let them down.